Well, hello. We're back at it again. Part 2 of our brake job on the forklift. So we're let's get at it and see what we can get done.
Let's do a little bit of an unboxing. Ordered this yesterday. Ordered this yesterday from McMaster Carr. Got it today, unbelievably. And I didn't pay for overnight shipping that I know of. Here we go. Let's take a look and see what we got. Oh, we got shipping paper. Now, first we got some brake lining. And we got a sack of rivets. And last but not least, we got a coil, a steel shim coil. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to switch to my right hand here. Hopefully when I pull this out it doesn't, yeah, I'll just leave it in there. You can see what it is. Anyway, there's some very thin steel shim material. And what that all is about is, number one, to reline these brakes. It's a little bit wide, but that's as narrow as I could get it. If I went any narrower, let me see if you can see that, it would have been 1.75, which would have been too narrow. So we'll make that work. And then this is what's left of the shims. They're on the driver's side of that forklift. And we'll use that shim material to make some new shims. So we have our, that's fun. Backer plates after powder coating them. I did this in a satin black and they turned out pretty good. And right there was where the stress fractures were. Not the best welding, I'll admit that, but practice makes perfect. Oh, there is a number up there, 306855-R. I have to look that up and see if that cross-references anything. So we are got that done, set those aside. Now let's get back on the brake pads. Here's a little tip for you. If you media blast something and you can't get it painted right away or powder coated like we do, lots of times we've got those desiccant packages in there. We're just leaving them in the blasting cabinet and then they won't surface rust. So that's what we did this time because it's been a couple days since we media blasted those. Here's the next question I gotta figure out. These have these brass, they're called an anchor pin cam in them. And basically the anchor pin here is, you can see it's got two flat sides there which go in like that. And actually, this little plate here would go in, and then it'd go in on that, and then there's a, goes in like that, and then there's a lock washer on the other side, a lock washer and a nut on the other side, and then it has a flat spot there, which almost looks like it's for adjusting, but what I don't understand is this has almost got to be should move in there, is the way I understand it. I've taken them, I've popped them out of these two. This is one of them that was in there. Obviously you can see it's fairly well worn. This one's missing a part. This one's also worn out. But I mean, I had to use a socket with the vise to pound those out. I wouldn't think if they were supposed to move in there that they would be that tight. So I'm going to go ahead and pound the others out, and then I can go ahead and powder coat these. And then I can do a little more research on those. I looked them up. I can't find any obviously for these Clark, but apparently like the 41 to 53 or somewhere in there, Jeep CJ2s use something like this, and I can get those, but I'm not sure they're the exact same thing, and they're like $6 a piece. So I may just have to order one and see if it's right. But in the meantime, I got to find out if I'm going to have to, obviously, after I powder coat it, I have to remove the powder coating from in here to get them to slide in. But I'm going to need to figure out if those actually need to swivel on that cam. So I guess we'll move on from there, and or go ahead and knock the other two out, and we'll get them powder coated. Okay, looking at them further, they are supposed to rotate in there. If you notice, they're eccentric. So if you move that, turn that, it's going to move, adjust back and forth here. So I'll have to see if I can find a replacement for them, or I'm going to have them machined. Well, we got the brake shoes powder coated. I did the satin black again, and I think they turned out pretty good. Could have done a little bit better in the corners there, but considering what they look like, I think they will be fine. I see that one's got kind of a hump there. I may have to try to knock that out. Then the other thing is of course, these are for brake anchor pin cams. You can see that's one of the better ones. One looked like this. Anyway, went on YouTube and found somebody that had some of these. They're for a Jeep CJ2A, like a 41 to 53, and then there's a few other, it's like a Ford that fit in or something, and they are a perfect duplicate. Now there's another company that makes these, and they sell through the 4x4 places. One place I ordered ordered them from and had to cancel the order because the manufacturer had them back ordered till the end of December. I didn't want to wait that long. So I found these on eBay. The only difference I see between these and the original ones and the ones I saw on the 4x4 places was it's got that little groove in them. There you go. But they do fit in there pretty good. I'm probably just going to take a little bit of emery cloth and clean that out a little bit so they, on that one it fits really, really well. On this one it's a little tight, so I'll make sure that they fit in and rotate nicely, because tell you what, they weren't rotating. The old ones were not rotating. So I won't bore you with that, but I'll go ahead and do that real quick. These are the little plates that go across there at the bottom of the shoes and help hold them in. Let's see if you can see this, but at the bottom they've got a little bit of ridge. I don't know, in the ridge here. So before I powder coat them, and not exactly straight anymore. So I'm going to go in and grind them down a little bit on the bench grinder before I powder. Okay, that's done. I don't know what they were doing, whether they beat on them or what. This one wasn't too bad. Boy, this one was bent and had a ridge along the bottom. Anyway, they're ready for powder coating. Good morning. I was getting stuff prepped for powder coat here. And these are the seal retainers. And I noticed on this one, right around here was actually bent in. And so in other words, it wasn't flat across this surface. This part was actually bent in towards the back part of the retainer. So I used a brass drift and my BFH and straightened it out here on the vise. I'm kind of wondering if that's why the one side had 4 or 5 shims instead of one like the other side. It very well could, because that would force the seal out further, which would force this away from the mounting flange. So that might be interesting. What am I up to now? Well, these are what I like to call the smalls. I got them ready, or getting them ready to powder coat. First step here is, after media blasting them all, I've got them hung on the rack here. We're going to put them in the oven. I got everything taped off on the brake adjustment bolts. I knocked any ridges off of them with the grinder. Got them smoothed up. And then I taped off the threads and other areas I didn't want the powder coat on, because it'd be so thick that it'd cause problems. So the next step will be to outgas them for 20 minutes. Then you take it out, let them cool down. Then I spray them off and degrease them with some paint prep. Put them back in, heat them up for 15 minutes to dry out all the paint prep. Then I take them out and then I actually powder coat them. And then that takes about 20-25 minutes depending. And then you let it cool down. Now the brake adjustment screws back there, or springs, I'm sorry, I'm going to probably do in red, or outgas them, and then our powder coat the other stuff in the satin black like I did everything else, and then our powder coat the red and hang them back in there and cook them at the same time. Now I'm not doing the bolts and washers. At some point we want to be able to replate those. We've got a setup that we've got to get set up, but I don't know when we're going to get that ready, and I didn't want to hold this project up any longer, so I'm going to go ahead and powder coat the bolts and everything, or excuse me, yes, the bolts, and then I'm just going to replace the nuts with new. So I'll throw these in the oven and cook them for 20 minutes. All right, I got the smalls powder coated, and the powder coating applied. I'm going to put them in the oven and bake them. I'm cheating a little bit here. I'm doing 2 colors at once. But I really didn't want to heat the oven up for those 2 springs. So we'll put them in the oven, give it about 25 minutes, and we'll see what happens. Out of the powder coating oven. Springs look nice. I'm not sure how it's going to work when they stretch out, but I think it'll be all right. Better than it was anyway. And that's with the satin black on it. I got to take the tape off of it yet. Now the reason I do these in satin black is it doesn't show the imperfections as much as if I did it in gloss. So I'll leave these here, or have to take the tape off and get them ready. Now I'm going to go over and attach the brake linings to the shoes.
While I'm waiting for the powder coating to get done, I had to work on relining these brake drums. And they look, or brake shoes, I'm sorry, look to be about 10 1/8 inch long. Check on this one. Yep. Might as well check them all, but that one looks slightly longer. About 10 1/8. So, next up, we have to, well, I gotta find where I put the parts again. Lost them the other day. Right behind me. Here's our material that we got from McMaster Carr. So I'm going to have to go through, mark them, and cut them again, like we did in our other brake lining video. We'll use our handy dandy cutoff, 6-inch cutoff saw. Kind of perfect for this type of job. So, first thing I need to do, measure off 10 1/8. Down a little bit. You can see I've still got to get my bench completely cleaned off. That square. Okay, and this is still squared up from when last time we here we go. There we go. So our knockout 4 more of those. Now, if you notice, there you have it. Now, if you notice, this material is different than what we used on the back of the 6-speed special. But it's what's available right now. The only thing that I need to do is I almost need to bevel. If you look on the old ones, there's a little bit of a bevel. I don't know if it was beveled before or if that's just wear. So I'll have to kind of research that a minute.
What I did to get the bevel on the edge of these, you can see, is I just took a regular old wood plane, planed it down. Just knocked them off. Don't have to be perfect on it. That was as simple as that.
Now, I've got the first shoe ready to, or lining ready to drill. What I'll go ahead and do is, if you watched our previous brake lining video, I'll drill through the back side so I know where they're at. Then I'll take it off of the shoe and flip it over and countersink them. So, I think I'm going to do a little bit different from last time. For Brad's suggestion, is instead of doing a really small one and then drilling it out, I'm going to drill the hole the size of the shaft of the rivet from the back side. So here we go. There we go. Now, that seems a little, that bit we used the last time seems a little bit big. I'm going to go see what I got. Well, looks like 3/8. The only one I've got, Fastener bit, I've got is 1/4 inch, and that's too small. So we'll probably just go with the we'll try 1/4 inch, see what happens. I take that back. Okay. So we're going to take this. Hold her down like that. And we'll hold her down like that. I'll speak up a little bit so you can hear me. And I'm thinking we're only going to go about half. Halfway down with the halfway down to that part should be good. Okay, let's see what we have here. Now, I think we're going to have to go to the 3/8. Really too big. Maybe with other. Let me see. 5/16. trick is to get it down far enough that you have some brake lining left to wear. Not so little that it pulls through. I think that's good. Alright, do the rest of them that way. And there's a total of 12 of them. Total of 12 of them on each one. Alright. Okay, let's go. Bend these in. Here's number one. Adjust that up. A little bit more. There we go. Okay. Alright, there they are. Now, if you're paying close attention, which I know you were, you will have noticed that I made a mistake and drilled all the way through a couple of these. So what I did is I just used to drill it back out with a larger rivet. Should do the trick, but anyway, that's what happens when you get in a hurry. So, next step is I gotta clean this mess up. Down to reassembling the brakes. And so I went out to our local Ace Hardware and got some replacement nuts and bolts. What I'm doing now is I have to take this high heat tape off that I used to tape the threads off when I was powder coating it, and then I'm going to follow up and chase the threads. Then I reassemble this, and the only thing I'm waiting on, so I was going to reuse these banjo bolts, but I found some. I was looking for the replacement copper crush washers, and I found that I can get these banjo bolts off of Amazon. So they're supposed to be in, I believe, Monday. So as long as they're the right ones, I'm not going to reuse these. You can see where they're kind of chewed up there a little bit. So I thought wasn't going to be that much more to get the bolt and the washers, so I went ahead and did that. So I'm going to go ahead. If anybody's got any tricks on taking this stuff off, I'd appreciate hearing about that. But I'll go ahead and finish cleaning those off, chase the threads, and then we'll mount this in here. And you can see I already screwed up and sprayed some WD-40 on this, so I'll be more careful when I'm doing that. But I'll reassemble these, and then the brakes will be done for now. I've got all my bolts with their new washers. Here's our replacement nuts. So now we can start reassembling. One thing I wanted to check and see, make sure I got the washer order correct. I think I did, or in my mind, I think. And on the Eccentric down here, can't tell if it's a lock washer or just a washer. Picture's not real good. I'm going to go ahead and go with a washer, or a lock washer. But I may rethink the lock washers on here. It had lock washers on it, but that doesn't mean anything. Now, the one thing that issue I did run into is we need to make sure these move out freely, and on these three it does, but this one here it doesn't. So I'm going to have to spread that open just a little bit. What did I do? There it is. Okay, see if that helps. Oh, all right, there we go. So, what we're going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to start by putting the brake cylinder in. The other thing I want to do on the brake cylinder before I put it in, so I need to make sure, wheel cylinder, excuse me, need to kind of line those up vertically. Okay, we got that. I'm going to go ahead and just use the lock washers on them. These are grade 5, that's what was on them. There's the other ones. I media blasted those, but I just felt it'd be better to go ahead and replace them. There's my stack of those. Okay. They were smartly hidden with these other bolts. So anyway, after wasting 5 minutes for looking for those, we're finished getting this on. Now this part I can tighten up snugly. So we have that. Now, we have our cams here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of luber plate. Now this is white lithium grease, but same thing, on these cams. Not too much, obviously I don't like getting on the pads. And I don't like collecting too much dust. And we'll slide those in here. The other place I'm going to put a little bit of lubricant plate on. will be on these guides. Again, not too excessive. Okay. On the other side. And this plate goes over the top of those, and one of these goes down and gets set in the key on that. No, that's not going in there quite smoothly. One side is, so I am going to start our bolt on that side. And work a little bit with this till it seats in there properly. There we go. Another lock washer. Another bolt. Now essentially what we want to do here, and I just realized I probably should have put these on first. Oh, look at that. I'm going to have to take that off and those put on. But essentially what these do is you use these here. And what we want to do when we're starting out, we want to turn these so the eccentric is as far in as possible. So that brings the brake pads in as far as they can. And then when we put the hub on, we'll turn those out till they're barely touching. Okay, now let me look at these. These actually, yeah, I'm gonna have to take that apart. Jumped a step. Really try not to get any of that grease on the pads. Okay, so these little beauties go in here like this, and they do the same thing. And where are my washers for those? Right there. So, there's my nuts. My nut. We'll put it on like that. And again, same situation. Loosen up the nut, turn this to move that in and out, and then you tighten it up. Now, got her upside down here. That must just, yeah, it just rubs against the brake pad itself. So we'll go ahead and leave those in there loosely. Put this back in here. Put this back in there. They got to be in there straighter. They do bind. Here we go. Okay, here we go again. I see why that side was fighting me getting in there. Apparently I didn't take all the blue, get all the blue tape off the cam here. Cam bolt. That's why it went in there kind of tight. Much better. See if it goes in there easier now. Oop. We got that done. So again, I'll turn this a little bit. For now. I'm not going to tighten these real tight because I'll probably have to adjust them. When we get them on. Okay, so the last part, we have to stretch this spring across here into that hole. And I will go get a tool. Actually, my tool is going to be a screwdriver. So the one I was thinking of isn't quite right for this. So there we go. So that's it. Like I said, when the new banjo bolts come, we'll attach those there. I just cleaned up the brass on these. They look fine. Look great, in fact. So I'll go ahead and put the other one together. We'll set those aside. And for right now, we are done. We are done with the brakes. Obviously, we'll have to probably do something with the brake lines, and then we'll also have to do a little bit, or we'll have to address the master cylinder. But I'm going to wait on those until we do the engine compartment, because that'll be taken care of then. And the other thing is we got to get the drums turned down, but I'll cover that when we put the front axle and everything back together. But that's basically the steps you need to do the brakes. I'll go ahead and do the other side, and the next thing we're going to tackle is I'm going to take the mast off of it so we can. I got to do a little work on the mast, and then it'll also aid in me cleaning up the front part and painting it. So, till next time, this is Harp from the Destination.